Real quick about my old 6.5 Chevy, and we're going to talk about it compared to what I've had with my Powerstroke. And I also have a Duramax, and that's been pretty much the best platform I've had. We're going to talk about the differences between them and the things I've had with the 6.5. Now, a lot of people say the 6.5 is a gutless wonder. It had no power, had a lot of problems. And honestly, my 6.5 had one problem, and that was called the PMD, pump mounted device. It has a little computer box on the pump, on the pump. And other than that, it just didn't have very much power. And I'm going to tell you how I got around that very easily without it spending a lot of money. And that PMD has this little thing that you buy with fins on it, and you can mount the PMD to it, and then they would put it on the intake manifold, and that didn't solve the issue. What you have to do is, if you have a 6.5 and you want to have a completely reliable truck, it is a really good engine. Once you do the mods, it's not going to get you winning any races. You're not going to go up hills pulling trailers at 90 miles an hour or anything like that. Okay, like you can do all the power mods to the Dodge or something like that. But who gives a crap? You're just trying to get good gas mileage pulling weight, right? Isn't that what you bought a diesel for? Okay, so let's talk about this. So you put the long harness on it. And right over here on the Chevy, and unfortunately I don't have the truck anymore. I needed a 4x4 truck, so I bought the Duramax to replace it. And right over here, I mounted it to a place where the computer was, and I put a processing fan on the little fins. Once I did that, I had no more problems with the 6.5. It ran like a banshee. I mean, ran like every day, didn't leak any oil. Unlike my 7.3, I've had like, I don't know how many oil leaks. As soon as I fix one, it seems like another one comes. Plus, I cracked 3 pistons with this engine, pulling weight all the time. So, a lot of people say they're really good. 7.3s are really good, and I have not had that much. It's been not bad, other than a piston crack, which is a pretty big deal, okay, to me. So I'm going to tell you, but I want to tell you what I had with power. As far as once I did these mods to it, it ran as strong as a 7.3, which is not as strong as my Duramax. Sorry, Ford guys, the Duramax just outpulls this thing stock, no problem. But you guys who power them up and all that other stuff, whatever, I'm talking about a stock engine. The Duramax outpulls this thing stock, completely stock. That's 2003 Duramax in a 2003 7.3. So anyway, what I did to the 6.5, in 6.5 you have the turbo right here, and it has this rattlesnake air cleaner that goes around like this. Really poor design for flow. That engine would not pull any boost because of that way that rattlesnake was. So what I did is I took the rattlesnake air cleaner off, and I put a turbo or a air cleaner right on the turbo, so it had just direct access to air. And it was a K&N style air cleaner that I put right on the turbo. And the other thing that I did was I put in the PMD, there's a little number 9 resistor that you put in there that costs about $3. All these mods cost nothing pretty much, guys, and it's bolt-on stuff right on the top of the engine. You take that little resistor, and at Accurate Diesel, he has those resistors, he has the PMDs, he has the PMD isolator, and has the harness, and you're probably talking about $500, $600 altogether for everything, all the parts you need to fix this truck. You put the resistor inside the PMD, and then put the plug in, It tells you which 2 pins to cover with that resistor. What the resistor did is give you 12% more power and boost, more fuel and boost. So once I did that and had the air coming in, the air cleaner like that, that truck pulled as strong as my Powerstroke. Which is, let me just give an example. When I went up the Grapevine in this truck, I'd go at about 50 to 55. I mean, it'll do 55 but I'll be on the floor and the motor's pretty much pinned at RPMs going up the Grapevine in this truck. With the same weight pulling it, which is actually heavier. When you're pulling weight, it's harder to pull weight than it is to carry weight. So with a 10,000 pound trailer behind my truck, which is a total of about 16,000 pounds, okay, this truck here is only 14,000, so I can't have a direct comparison. I would go 55 up the hill. So pretty much the same amount of power as my Powerstroke, and I didn't have any oil leaks. I didn't blow up the motor. I didn't crack any pistons. And I ended up having to sell the truck because I needed four-wheel drive. So because I was going to the beach and to the sand, and I was getting stuck a lot, and so I wanted four-wheel drive so I didn't have to keep on airing down my tires and putting air back in them. That's a real pain in the butt when you're out in the desert. It takes like an hour, so it was like getting to be a pain. So not that you can't get unstuck without four-wheel drive. You can. You just got to spend a lot of time taking air out of everything, getting everything down. So anyway, that's the only problem I had with the 6.5. 10 years later, the same 6.5, the guy sent me an email, said he's still driving, still using the truck to haul boats. I don't know how many miles are on it now, but it's probably close to 300,000. And he has had no problems with the engine. So, and he's not hauling, they're almost ships is what he's pulling. I mean, they're big boats. They're like 22 foot high bow, high water boats. So they're really big and really heavy. He had pictures of them. So anyway, with the 7.3 in the same note, I've had like all these oil leaks. I've also had to change the injectors in this engine. The injectors went out at about 150,000 miles. I had 3 pistons crack in this. Some people will say, oh, well, it was before you owned it. I drove this truck up and down from Northern California to Southern California for several years. It's never rolled heavy coal or anything like that, so I know, and I watched for injector sticking, stuff like that. I watch the exhaust when I'm climbing. I know diesels, okay? I've had several trucks, and I'm watching for EGT, problems with EGT, and I haven't had any. And 30,000 miles after I owned the truck, it cracked 3 pistons. So, was it ether before I got the truck? It's possible, but not likely that it would have gone that far with an ether cracked piston with a hairline and pulling all that weight up and down those hills. It's really unlikely. It's more than likely just a actual casting issue that I had. And maybe it was because I was at the end of the run on the castings, because some guys are saying they get 1,000,000 miles out of this motor, and I'm not doubting that, but are they getting 1,000,000 miles out of it pulling heavy weight all the time? And what I've found is most guys that are having problems with this engine, that have had problems, which aren't a ton of them, but it's guys that are pulling all the time. You look at guys that are pulling 3-car haulers all the time with a 7.3. I've seen several of them that have said they had cracked pistons. So I'm going to say probably it's a casting issue, and it doesn't show up unless you're pulling a lot of weight all the time. But I don't really know. All I know is what I've had, and I've had 1,000,000 oil leaks with this motor. I've had the turbo off of it. I never had any of those problems with my 6.5. 6.5 just ran like hell. Once I had problems with the PMD. Once I did the isolating thing, no more problems. Had plenty of power. Pulled the hills like a banshee. Pulled weight very well. I'm not going to say I would pull a 3-car hauler with it every day. If I was going to do that, I would buy a Duramax or a Dodge. Actually, the Duramax I think was what I would use, because the reason I would use the Duramax is because it has the Allison tranny. The Dodges, unless you have a brand new Dodge, which 2017, 2015 or newer, but then the motors start to have problems because they have all that other garbage on them for the, you know, all the fuel contaminating issues and stuff like that, because the high pressure pumps and all these other things that I don't know that much about the new ones. I'm just not even getting there. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to use what I've got for many years, and that's it. But California is actually saying that I can't use this truck anymore. So I don't know what I'm going to do as far as that goes. But I certainly am not going to buy a 6.7. There's no way. No way I'll buy a 6.7. That's what they want me to do, is have a 2010 or newer motor. And there's no chance I'll ever put a 6.7 in this, or a 6.7, buy a 6.7 truck. I'll buy a Dodge, or I'll buy, I don't know. If I could find a Duramax, I'd buy it, but I can't. Nobody has any. Nobody sells them. That tells you something. Nobody sells them. That's why, because they're reliable and they work well. Anyway, so that's it for the 6.5. If you bought a 6.5, good deal. You definitely do those power mods, so you will not be disappointed. The other thing I did too is I put the 4-inch exhaust on it, but I didn't notice any power difference with that until actually I took the air cleaner off. That's when I really noticed the power. All right, so I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.